Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
I'm not camping outside a store for Black Friday or any Friday.
We're with Kat. That's why our Ace Black Friday sale lasts all day. Just print out our online coupon, bring it in, and save 50% on an item under $30.
Ace is the place with Black Friday offers all day. Go ahead and sleep in.
Print out our coupon at acehardware.com and stop by Ace this Friday for 50% off one regular priced item under $30. Offer valid on November 25th only at participating stores. Limit 1. Exclusions apply. See coupon.
WABC.
I got Biden. He said, I'd like to take him behind the gym. Oh, I dream of that. You know what you do with Biden? You go like this. And he'd fall over. Tough guy, Mr. Tough Guy. Mr. Tough Guy. Just a little bit of a and he's gone. Another beauty. Can you imagine if I ever made that statement? Donald Trump is a bully. He threatened Vice President Biden. Donald Trump is a bully. Can you imagine? But he can say it. Everyone thought, oh, that was a wonderful statement.
Back on the Bernie and Sid show on 77 WABC.
Is he kidding? He bullied his way through the whole primary. Now he's the victim because old Joe Biden wants to punch him in the face. Is he kidding?
Would you like to see that?
I think that Donald Trump is about the biggest wuss I've ever seen or heard in my whole life. Everybody knows that, including Bill Bratton. Joe Biden's an old man. I think tough talk between both of those guys is really silly. But the fact that Trump is mad at Biden, or Trump says, oh, they would call me a bully, that's all he did through the whole primary was bully everybody. Why is he upset? He's allowed to do it, but Biden can't?
I think he was trying to be funny.
No, he wasn't. He's bitching about the media again.
He didn't threaten to physically beat up any of his opponents, I don't think.
Yes, he did. And he also threatened to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
Really?
I mean, oh, my God.
Which one? Who?
If
Lindsey
I
Graham?
shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, then,
I don't remember about his opponents.
Oh, stop
Hey, we have a guest on the line.
Just stop.
A very, very brilliant writer. He's the editor of the National Review.
Great guy.
He is a great guy.
Yes.
And intimidatingly smart, I would say. Rich Lowry's on the line. Good morning, Rich.
Hey, so is this a private fight you guys are having?
No. I want to get you in on this. It's incredible to me. And we understand that Trump has been bitching about the media bias, which I do think exists. I'm voting for Hillary, and I do think it exists, and I feel bad for Donald at certain points. But for him to say, oh, they would call me a bully, Rich, that's all he did for about 12 months.
Yeah, well, I'm with Bernie on this one. I think Trump, one, was trying to be funny, and two, he's completely right about the media. I don't think it really serves him to complain about it constantly.
That's my
to the
point.
Exclusion of a real message that could move this election. But it's certainly true. The media hates him with a passion, and have just talked themselves into not even have to make a pretense of objectivity in this election.
But what's funny? When I found out you were coming on this morning, you know what Bernie says off the air? Rich Lowry's coming on. He hates Donald Trump. He hates Donald Trump. So you're talking about the media. Aren't you one of those guys?
Well, I'm an opinion guy, so I try not to hate anyone, but I'm open with my opinions. That's the whole point. But the front page of the New York Times is supposed to be something different, and for 3 months straight, it has just been an anti-Trump broadsheet. And they, as I say, they haven't even made a pretense of it, and the media sort of patted itself on the back for rejecting he said, she said journalism in this case. But that's usually what objective journalism is. You give one side, and then you give the other.
Right, exactly right. Not only the New York Times, Rich, the rest, the Washington Post, CNN, ABC News, the rest of them, all one-sided, and it's so conspicuous their bias. I think this time around more so than ever before. But in any case, Rich, these WikiLeaks now, the race is tightening just a little. Yep. Just a little bit, but not a lot. I don't think if the vote was held today, Trump would probably lose. But between Obamacare and these WikiLeaks exposés showing the disgusting sleaze of the Clinton Global Foundation, do you think it's going to resonate or have any effect on the polls?
Well, the first time, I think, over the last 24 hours or so, the news environment has moved against Hillary Clinton for the first time in probably a solid month. And I think a lot of those first WikiLeaks emails, they're embarrassing for all the underlings, who are attacking one another or saying nasty things about allies or saying nasty things about the Catholic Church, but no one knows who any of these people are, Jennifer Palmieri and Neera Tanden. But I think that the latest batch, that really just goes to how corrupt the Clinton Foundation was and how it was a political slush fund and an opportunity for profiteering for the Clintons and for their cronies.
Bill Clinton,
that really gets to the heart of the critique. It's just, it's late. We're 11 days out, and it's really hard to change the fundamental dynamic of the race now.
So in other words, the answer is no. You don't think it will resonate. It is too late. You're right. And it does. It's hard to compete with sexual allegations against Donald Trump because
and that's the other thing is if you had Hillary Clinton on tape saying, you know what, let's take that quid pro quo, that would be a devastating blockbuster. It's just things in print just don't have, and I'm a print guy, so I regret this, don't have the resonance of the tape.
No,
and that's the problem
true.
with the Access Hollywood thing. It was Trump himself, and it was kind of compelling. It was weird. You couldn't take your eyes off of it, and they played it for basically a week straight, and it really hurt him.
Rich Lowry, National Review here with Bernie and Sid. Bernie saying the race has tightened. I agree with Bernard, but there were some people, including Trump supporters, that were very upset with Donald a couple of days ago because they felt like the Obamacare spike was a gift for Donald Trump. And and I know he went to a couple of places and did bring it up, but instead of hammering that home for 2 days, just hammer that, he went and cut a ribbon at his hotel in D.C. He did other things. He did things, quite frankly, a guy who was winning would do 11 days away. And so some people couldn't figure out why he would do that. What do you think about those couple of days?
I think there are two things. One, this has been a problem with the campaign all along. It's not as though, he has been talking about Obamacare. But what's more interesting? What's going to get people talking about the water cooler? What's going to punch through? Talking about beating up Joe Biden. That's much more interesting. That's much more entertaining. What did we lead this segment with? Of course we're going to do beating up Joe Biden. Right. So he's kind of done, he's run this campaign and especially his rallies in a way to entertain himself and and the rally goers. And that's a normal human instinct. The problem is it creates all this chaff out there and creates all the opportunities for the media to focus on things that either don't help you very much or hurt you. So if you just would have read from a teleprompter just one speech in the last 3 months, he might be winning.
Yeah, it seems like he's just really, really happy energizing his base. Because when he does something like that with Joe Biden, his supporters are like, yeah. But what he doesn't get is he doesn't have nearly enough supporters to win. Right, and he's not getting anybody new by doing that.
That's the problem. He needs suburban women. So, look, beating up Joe Biden, it's great. Bernie and I are like, yeah, okay.
Kick his ass.
We'd like to see that match. Let's get the gloves on. But, the moderate woman in the Philadelphia suburbs, does she care for that? No. And the other thing with promoting the business properties is he's never really completely become a politician, or he's never become, I believe, 100% committed to this race. In the back of his mind is like, you know what, November 9th I lose, that's really too bad. I'll be right back at Trump Tower, I'll still have this great business, and maybe I'll have a media property on top of it.
So, you're speaking of women, the latest high-profile Republican, establishment Republican female, the governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, has now come out and said she will vote for Donald Trump. She hadn't said that up until now, which leads me to this question, Rich Lowry from the National Review. Where does Rich Lowry stand?
I won't vote for Trump. I oppose Hillary, but I just can't affirmatively support Trump. I don't live in a swing state, so my actual vote doesn't make a huge difference. But I just can't put my imprimatur.
Rich Lowry, the editor of the National Review. I'm reading a book right now that James Rosen edited. It's a compilation of eulogies by William F. Buckley Jr., who I'm fascinated with. A brilliant guy. By the way, did you ever meet him?
Oh, I worked with him closely for 10 years.
Wow. So, and you, every bit as smart as he is. But
he wrote. That's not true, but I appreciate that.
That's very humble of you. It's very humble.
No, it's very truthful of me, but let's not argue about this.
Okay, so listen. He wrote in 2000. He called out Trump, essentially saying what people like you are saying, that he was just a huckster, and the bottom line, the presidents that have accomplished great things were not businessmen. So Trump is not necessarily the go-to guy. Does that influence you? What William F. Buckley said back in 2000?
Well, as you say, we just see the same qualities in Trump that Bill did way back in 2000, and I entirely understand people coming down on the different side of this and just acknowledging all his flaws and saying we got to vote for him anyway. I just can't quite get there. And the tragedy of this election, I just think it was so winnable. She's so vulnerable. And Trump still has some chance. I wouldn't put it, it's not 100% slam dunk for her. But any other, Jim Gilmore might be winning this race. George Pataki might be winning this race. And certainly any of the more kind of normal mainstream Republicans who would have built, a really solid campaign apparatus and not have all these vulnerabilities, they'd be beating Hillary Clinton right now.
Talking about eulogies, Rich, when you write in the Nat Review in 11 days when she wins, what went wrong basically with the Trump campaign, we all know what went wrong, okay? But he's going to have 9,000 excuses why he lost, which of course includes media bias, which we all agree does exist. There's no question about that. Rigged elections and rigged this and rigged that. And he will not accept 1% of accountability for his loss when in fact, you know this, that he absolutely is to blame because he had her on the ropes a couple of weeks ago and he's really done nothing the last couple of weeks other than wait for the next email to come out for him to possibly win this race. Is that not true?
Yeah, I mean, the pivot of the whole race in my mind, and I think he was always an underdog, but before the first debate, this thing was almost tied.
It was almost tied. And after that, people bring up the Billy Bush thing. He has never recovered after getting his ass kicked after the first debate.
And all he had to do was prepare and execute. And he didn't do either of those things. And he was standing in front of 80 million people with a real chance to make a different impression. And he didn't. And it slid away from him from that day on.
Rich, when you say Gilmore or Pataki, I disagree. I think that if Rubio or Pataki or something, they would have had the Clinton machine would have portrayed them as pedophiles, rapists, sexists, as they are with Donald Trump. Same thing.
Yeah,
and Donald Trum's really ginned up the base. He's got a lot of enthusiasm, which a lot of the guys that you cited never would have had. He had record numbers in the primaries, and he has these huge rallies to this day, to this point, even after the revelations.
I half agree with you. I mean, certainly that they're going to try to destroy anyone, but it's a question of whether that other candidate would have given them as much material as Trump has, and just, they started off with a lot of material on Trump, but if at some point he just had stopped giving them new stuff, like a month ago or something, this might look like a different race, and certainly no one would have built the crowds and kind of enthusiasm he has, but that's just not enough. If Bernie Sanders were the Democratic nominee right now, the crowds would be huge. There'd be 20,000 people at each event.
Right, doesn't mean anything.
Struggling to get 40%.
Well,
you need more than your base.
Before you leave, you said he kept giving them stuff. That begs this question. With 11 days to go, do you think there's one more? Do you think that the Clintons have another bombshell, or maybe Trump does, in the next 11 days that will make this thing look even worse for one of those candidates?
I kind of suspect they're holding something back that they'll unleash on Trump, but who knows? And when I say giving them more material, it's just like stop saying dumb, self-destructive things. And he's never been able to do that.
After hearing you say at this point that you're not going to vote for Donald Trump, I agree with you. You're not as smart as William F. Buckley Jr. I totally agree. Hey, Rich Lowry from the National Review. You're a great guest.
Good. It took you 5 minutes to think of that, but that's really
No,
good.
no, I saved it for the end. I thought of it immediately. Rich Lowry, thanks for appearing on Bernie and Sid.
Great job.
Always love it. Thanks.
All right, Rich,
Back
take care.
after this.
77 WABC. Traffic and Transit.
Westbound Cross Bronx Expressway approaching the